One day, you're in the middle of a text thread, sharing memes, or planning a dinner that's weeks away. And then, the blue bubbles stop. The phone goes quiet. No "he needs space," no "I am busy," just a hollow, echoing silence where a person used to be. For most of us, this is the ultimate social crime, the ghosting phenomenon that we label as cowardice or a lack of maturity. But if you've ever been the person who suddenly finds themselves staring at a screen, unable to type even a single letter, you know it's not about being mean. It's about something much deeper and more exhausting happening in your brain. You aren't just being flaky. Your soul hasn't left your body because you hate the person on the other end. It's because your brain has calculated the cost of that vibe and decided that your emotional bank account is officially overdrawn. You're not broken, and you're definitely not a villain. You're just operating on a frequency where the world's demands have finally exceeded your nervous system's capacity to process them. Here is the thing about the vanishing act. It almost always starts with a specific kind of internal shutdown. Imagine your mind is like a house with a very sensitive circuit breaker. Most people can run the lights, the fridge, and the TV all at once. But for you, every social obligation, every "how are you" text, and every unspoken expectation is a high wattage appliance. Eventually, the wires get too hot. To prevent a total fire, your brain simply trips the switch. Everything goes dark. Not because you want to sit in the dark, but because your system is protecting itself from a complete meltdown. Psychologists call this sensory processing sensitivity or high perceptual sensitivity, and for people who disappear, it's often turned up to the maximum. You aren't just reading a text, you're reading the subtext, the tone, and the weight of the response you're expected to give. You see through the performance of social interaction. You see the masks people wear, the "I am fine" mask, the "let's hang out" mask, and your brain is constantly translating the real energy beneath the words. That emotional radar is so finely tuned that you're basically a human Wi-Fi router downloading everyone else's stress, anxiety, and expectations without even asking for the password. When you reach that point of psychological overload, even the simplest explanation feels like trying to climb Mount Everest in a blizzard. To you, saying "I am overwhelmed" isn't a simple sentence. It's another performance you don't have the energy to give. It's another interaction that might lead to more questions, more "are you okay?" follow-ups, and more emotional data that you just can't process. So, you choose the only option that offers immediate relief: absolute, total silence. This isn't random. It follows a very specific pattern that often traces back to how your brain learned to survive in the first place. Many people who disappear grew up as emotional sponges. Maybe you were the one who had to notice every shift in a parent's tone or every micro-expression of disappointment to stay safe. You learned to read the emotional temperature of a room before you even learned to walk. Fast forward to adulthood, and that threat detection system never fully turns off. Your nervous system learned the hard way that connection can be unpredictable and that safety is a luxury, not a guarantee. In your mind, a disappearing act is an act of reclaiming autonomy. It's your brain's way of saying, "I am in control of my space now, and no one is allowed in until I say so." This is reactance in its purest form. When you feel the weight of social freedom being threatened by the pressure to respond, your brain does the exact opposite of what society expects. You don't just lean away, you vanish. You aren't running from the person, you're running toward the only place where the air doesn't feel heavy with expectation, your own internal silence. For you, home or the quiet space inside your head isn't just a building, it's an emotional reset button. It's the only place where the mask finally comes off and the world stops demanding a version of you that is always on. When you disappear, you're not choosing distance. You're choosing an environment that allows your body to downshift, reduce vigilance, and rest without performing. You need closeness without intrusion, and when life feels like it's all intrusion and zero safety, the only way to find balance is to remove yourself from the equation entirely. The irony is that people who vanish are often the most empathetic, hyper-responsible people you'll ever meet. You don't leave because you don't care. You leave because you care so much that the mental load of the cover-up and the social performance has become genuinely addictive in a neurological sense. And eventually, the guilt of not being good enough ensures you'll feel bad enough to need a complete hit of isolation later. You're not weak, and you're not lacking willpower. Your brain is just doing exactly what it evolved to do: protect its most precious resource, your peace, at any cost. Beneath the surface of this silence lies a heavy, unspoken truth. The more you value a relationship, the harder it can be to stay present in it. When you care deeply, the stakes of your social performance skyrocket. You aren't just answering a text. You are managing the other person's emotions, anticipating their needs, and trying to be the perfect version of yourself. Psychologists call this high self-monitoring, and for the person who disappears, it is like running a marathon in a suit of armor. Eventually, you don't just want to take the armor off. Banging it against the floor is too loud. You just want to evaporate. This need to vanish often stems from a concept called post-traumatic hypervigilance. If you've survived storms in your past, your brain has become a survival masterpiece that never fully learns how to exist when the threat is gone. You sense changes in the emotional atmosphere like a barometer, but a slight shift in someone's tone or a delay in their response feels like a predator approaching. In that state of biological arousal, your brain doesn't have the luxury of small talk or polite explanations. It only has exit. What makes this cycle so painful is the psychological hamster wheel of shame that follows the disappearance. You feel bad about vanishing, so you hide even deeper. The longer the silence lasts, the higher the mental load of the cover-up becomes. You start to grieve the version of yourself who could trust easily and laugh without checking the room first. You're homesick for a version of yourself that didn't feel like too much or not enough. However, there is a revolutionary realization waiting on the other side of this pattern. Your worth isn't tied to your availability. Many people who disappear find a profound co-regulation with things that don't demand a response. The rhythmic purr of a cat, the predictability of a comfort show, or the minimalism of unmarked skin. These aren't crutches. They are environments that signal safety to your nervous system, telling you that nothing urgent is required. You are allowed to be internally motivated rather than reacting to the social signals of the crowd. Breaking the cycle doesn't come from more willpower or stricter rules. It comes from radical visibility and self-compassion. It's about realizing that punishing yourself has never led to lasting change. When you can say, "I am at my limit," and that's okay, you remove the power source of the shame. You start to understand that attachment doesn't require constant proof, and that true connection can survive a period of stillness. You are a walking paradox, guarded but generous, tender but tough. Your survival became insight, and your pain became compassion. You aren't missing out on life when you pull back. You are opting out of a system that wasn't built for minds that think, feel, and see as deeply as yours. Silence isn't empty. It's where your clarity lives. You are allowed to take up space, and you are definitely allowed to protect that space without rehearsing a conversation or anticipating danger. You are not broken. You are just a lighthouse that remembers the darkness, and sometimes even a lighthouse needs to let its light rest so it can continue to shine when the next storm rolls in.